And then ask number 1 is supporting increased school funding. And that includes making needed investments in education for continued COVID relief to Michigan schools to provide a safe environment and maximize education delivery for our children, teachers, and administrators across the state, increasing Title I funding, and increasing or just providing IDEA funding, and IDEA is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. To give us the background on the why we identified this ask, we have Mary Ann Van Heitzmuth coming back to us.
Thank you. Oh, if you can go back to that slide.
Oh.
Sorry.
You want this one? Okay.
Yes, thank you. So as you can see, and I think as we just heard from Tina as well, so one of our challenges is that we need to have continued investments. We have the COVID relief funds, the ESSER funding, which again, I need to stress is, one-time funding. And so as we talk about things like the safety and establishing equity amongst our children, it is really, really critical that we look at the funding as it relates to, the post-pandemic world. And the one-time funding is just that, it's one-time funding. So it is really critical, again, that we ensure that we continue to support funding for children post-pandemically, because we know that everybody was not at the same place during that time. And we really need to continue to support our teachers, administrators, our children, our families. So that's really critical. The Title I funds, are created to ensure economically disadvantaged children receive a fair, equitable, and high quality education by helping to close the academic achievement gaps. And as we know as well, during the pandemic, as we heard, things like connecting virtually weren't possible for students. And so I know I've heard stories of buses set up with hotspots so that kids were able to connect to the internet. So we know that across the state, our children didn't all receive equitable education because it just wasn't physically possible. And so it is really critical, the funding for that. Also, IDEA funding, excuse me. I think one of the best statements I think I've heard from our Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, is turning a crisis into opportunity. And so this funding as well is funding for students with disabilities and to support special education teachers. So this is another area we know this population of students too may be exponentially affected by the pandemic. And so we really need to ensure there's appropriate funding and for that population of students as well. And so I think as we learn going forward, as everybody has said, this is a learning opportunity. This is a restructuring opportunity. It showed us where our gaps exist in funding and in education and equity. So the ask is to continue to press our legislators and stress the importance of why this additional funding is needed. So thank you.